The worst thing about burnout is that by the time you realize that you're on fire, you're too much of a mess to actually be able to do anything about it. You have no idea how to think and get yourself out of this situation. You're just caught in this endless, infinite loop of stress. So if you want to know what to do when you burn out and how to go about that process, then watch this video. I'm Dr. Lewis Thomas. I'm a GP and a life coach. I've been through burnout myself and came out the other side, and now I want to help you do the same. In this video, I'm going to explain what burnout does to your brain and why it messes you up so badly from being able to escape. Then I'm going to give you some actionable steps in the form of an exercise that you can do to actually escape from burnout. So let's just agree what burnout is. You're overwhelmed, you're exhausted, and you're just trying to get through the day. Your mind is consumed by negativity and lack of control that are the main influencing factors that make your career or your job hell on earth. And then to make things worse, you're getting completely obliterated by the expressed emotions of other people that you're having to work with. People that are your colleagues or people that are your clients, people that you're trying to help as patients are actually making things a lot worse for you. Your blood is just pure cortisol and you're in this constant state of stress, fighting to survive for your life. And this actually takes me back to when I used to play a fighting game called Dead or Alive on Xbox, which obviously I only played because it had the best technical fighting system, not anything to do with the female characters. So in the game, it literally had a survival mode where you would stay in the same arena and you'd fight consecutive opponents until you died, and you had to try and beat as many of them as possible. My record was 49. This is exactly how I felt when I was burning out as a GP, because I would be sat in this consultation room and consecutive patients would come into the room and I had to fight. I felt like I had to fight them until they left the room. And I can still remember this sort of relatable feeling where I would just kind of be juggled in the air by patients just throwing 11 problem combos at me, and I'd just be like there like, oh, and just waiting to hit the floor so that I could crawl home and, you know, lie on the sofa and watch people on reality TV having a worse day than me. Yeah, there is no escape. You're constantly in this kind of arena of stress, and you feel like you're fighting to survive, basically. Please let me know in the comments if you can relate to that metaphor and share your own experiences as well. So with burnout, you could kind of argue that you have to go through it in order to be able to be reborn and rise from the ashes like a phoenix. But when you're in burnout, your higher brain functions are just so knocked off by stress that there's a very real possibility that instead of rising like a phoenix, you're going to end up more like a cooked chicken. So what we need to figure out basically is how to liberate yourself from burnout and be able to fly over the horizon towards the life of your dreams, where you're free and you're relaxed and you have everything you want. So over the last year, I've been reading loads of self-improvement books, and the last two I've read have been by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Becoming Supernatural, and I'm reading The Source at the moment by Dr. Tara Swart. And there's a common theme that keeps coming up surrounding the neuroscience of chronic stress and how it actually affects the brain in terms of reducing the ability of the brain to think creatively and putting us into this fight or flight state. So this all begins with the negative emotions such as anger, fear, shame, disgust, and sadness. Back in the days of early humans, these were the survival emotions that kept us alive. And this is why these emotions still cause a surge of the stress hormone hormones cortisol and noradrenaline, which basically prepare our body for fight or running away and doing whatever we need to do to survive the life-threatening situation that we're in. And what I find interesting is the way in which this narrows our focus and places all of our attention on the perceived threat to life. So it's the primitive emotional part of the brain that basically takes over and shuts down the logical thinking part of the brain, which basically results in you zooming in on the threat and just responding instinctively to survive and blocking everything else out. So here's a couple of examples. So imagine you're just about to lie down to sleep at night and you just reach over to switch the bedside light off, and out of the corner of your eye you see a massive spider crawl out from behind the bed. All of a sudden your eyes are locked in on it, watching its every move, and your stress hormones are going crazy because you now either have to get rid of the spider, or if you lose it then you're going to have to remove yourself from the room if you actually want to sleep that night. So here's another example. Imagine that you share an office with a co-worker who is just mean, nasty and confrontational all the time, and the very sound of their voice puts you into a fight or flight situation. But in this situation, you're working with them every day. There's nowhere else to go. There's no escape, and you can't just like put them in a glass and throw them out the window. So can you see how in the first situation you're able to respond to the spider and do something that removes the threat and lowers your stress hormones? In the second situation, there's nothing you can do really to lower your stress hormones, so you're just going to stay in this state of stress where your cortisol is just going to be constantly high. And when your stress level is that high, it means that you're not able to think creatively. So whether your source of stress is aggressive clients, obnoxious colleagues, or controlling bosses, you're burnt out because you can't escape from them, and fighting them would just worsen the situation even more. And this chronic stress cripples your ability to think about anything other than the actual stress, which means the creativity to think about the life you actually want and how to make that happen is non-existent. This is why coaching is so helpful when you're burnt out, because you're given other perspectives to consider your life from. As when you're preoccupied with the spider in the room, you might miss the most obvious solutions. Burning out typically goes one of two ways. You either keep doing what you're doing and push yourself over the edge and you're forced to stop because of physical or mental illness, or you're able to stop temporarily for periods of leave, and during that leave your stress levels simmer down, but just before you're about to go back to work they shoot right back up, usually ruining the end of your holiday or break. And then you go back to work and you're still in the same situation of it burning you out until your next holiday. And that cycle continues until you end up in the first situation of physical or mental illness forcing you to stop. Luckily, there is a much healthier way out of burnout, and it involves an exercise I call the door hold exercise. And this is designed to open your mind to new possibilities and help you make a plan forward. So try out the following exercise. You're going to make 4 lists, and you can do this either by writing on a piece of paper split into 4 quadrants, or you can do it on the computer in a table, or write on a whiteboard, whatever you prefer. So list 1. List all of the aspects of your job that put you into a stress state. In the second list, you're going to list all of your strengths and skills. So think about the things that come naturally to you that others might struggle with. These are your strengths. List 3. You're going to list all of the positive aspects of your job. Think about things that you're grateful to have as part of your job. And think about any memories from work that make you feel really happy. In the 4th list, you're going to list all of your interests inside work and career, and outside in your personal life. So make sure you really think about this and list all of them, even if you think that it's lame or that someone in your career or profession shouldn't be interested in those kind of things. Like, put it down. It doesn't matter. If you love theorizing over Marvel Cinematic Universe plot lines, and you put that down. If you only have like one real interest or obsession outside of work, then put that down and split it into lots of different subtopics that you're most interested in within that area. So now that you have these 4 lists, you should be able to step back and look at them, and it will start to put things in perspective for you. Not only can you see the bad stuff that's putting you in a stress state, but you can see the good stuff, and you can see other areas that you might want to consider when making a plan to change career or to create an alternative role for yourself within your current job. So now you've basically got this zoomed out 4K picture of everything you need to be aware of to plan your career change and escape burnout. And the idea of this is to keep it somewhere where you can see it regularly, because as your stress levels increase and you start narrowing in on all of the negativity and feel the negative emotions, you can look at this and zoom back out into reality. So that's why I like to think of it as like a doorstop. Doing the exercise opens the door, giving you an exit route from the burnout that you're in. And having the exercise somewhere where you can see it regularly and look at it and really sort of contemplate and think keeps that door open so that you're able to think creatively and openly about the plan that you're putting together to escape this burning wreck that is your current work and your job. So just going back to the second typical response we have to burnout, when you have these precious periods of leave, it's the door hold exercise that you need to be doing, as well as, you know, your time for rest and recovery and holidays. You need to prioritize creative thinking, because that's going to give you an exit route out rather than continuing in this repetitive cycle. And once your mind is opened, you'll start to see new opportunities that you hadn't noticed before because you were too narrowed in. This might be starting a side hustle in the outside interest that you've realized that you have, or working on projects at work that are more aligned with your interests, so you're energized and you're not feeling as stressed, or working on projects that help improve the working environment and reduce the stress that everyone is experiencing, giving you a sense of purpose and a feeling that you're helping other people avoid burnout as well as yourself. And I know what you're thinking, these projects sound like more work, but when you have chosen the project yourself from your own free will, based on something you know is really important to you, it won't feel like work. And more importantly, when you commit yourself to a project, you gain skills outside of your current comfort zone. And gaining those skills changes you as a person and gives you more options when it comes to creating the career and life that you actually want. So start small and choose projects that are just outside of your comfort zone, so you're pushing yourself but not too far so that you're giving yourself more stress. So each completed project was going to give you confidence and a sense of control back. That's going to make you feel really good about yourself, and that in itself is an antidote for burnout. So yes, there will still be spikes of stress along the way, but as long as you've done the door hold exercise, you'll be able to escape from that, because you'll know that there's a plan and an exit for you to escape from. So in summary, burnout is caused by chronic stress, but you can escape it with creativity and self-awareness. Use the door hold exercise to open your mind to new possibilities. I've put a link in the description for a template for you to download, so you can have a look at that. And make sure you do it during your next period of leave, because it's really important to recuperate, but you also need to make a plan so that you're not trapped in the endless cycle. Remember, nothing is going to change unless you change. Everything that you need is already inside your head. You just need to use those opportunities when the clouds of stress have cleared to look at it and record it. So that's what to do when you've burnt out, guys. If you've found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for future helpful videos. And consider checking out my blog newsletter where I write weekly about personal development and everything I'm learning to help you on your own path. See you next time.